All right, y'all. Leland Live Talk 99.5. Let's go again. We're still kind of a little bit on hold waiting on this news conference. Let me just start back at the very top with some of the headlines we're chasing this hour. We'll get you in here too. Again, that number, if you're a newbie, 545-9950. Alabama Dental, by the way, bringing you this hour. And I do appreciate Dr. Brian and that team being here. It's good to have a quality dentist to recommend to people. And that's why I'm a patient of Dr. Brian's and the whole team there can take care of me if I come in with something unusual. They're 4 specialists with incredibly convenient hours. One of the excuses a lot of us make is you just don't have time to do these things in life. You get busy and to be real, some people make up excuses not to go to the dentist because you just dread going to the dentist, but that excuse is gone. They are open until 7 o'clock at night. They are open on Saturdays, and they do take appointments in those hours, and that helps you budget your own time and get in there. Heck, take the whole family and get it done and knock it out early on a Saturday morning. That's why they do that. They can do it because, again, a big 4 dentist practice with all those specialties and all that equipment, all that investment in diagnostics and treatment machines and whatever you call that stuff. It's alabamadental.com. Y'all go see them, get your appointment, take care of yourself. alabamadental.com. As we wind down a Friday. First thing, I'm trying to do a little PSA here. We do have a burn warning in effect for the state of Alabama. They're asking people not to burn anything. We got dry weather. We got hot weather. It's going to be very windy this afternoon too. Things can get out of control in a hurry. So y'all check yourself before you wreck yourself on the outside fires, fire pits, fireplaces, burning trash, whatever. You're not going to be able to control it. We've had, right now I was just looking at, there's a fire in Carroll County. I saw, this is actually over in Mississippi. They've had the same problem. I saw one last night. I don't know where it was, but I was heading eastbound out on 280 and saw it over toward Double Oak Mountain. It was a lot of black smoke. It looked very much like a woods fire. But Mississippi is having the same things as we scroll through the headlines this afternoon. All right, again, we're waiting on this news conference for this Tiger Woods thing. Now, we're getting this from Fox this hour. The police are about to update us. Tiger Woods was involved in a rollover crash in Jupiter, Florida. Specifically, it was Jupiter Island. And the car, there's an image of the car. I think he is okay. He was able to exit the vehicle, we understand. It's up on its side. But Fox is reporting this hour that he was arrested and charged with a DUI. So at first, when this story broke, your immediate concern, because again, as AJ and I've talked about on the show, this ain't his first rodeo with car wrecks. He crushed his legs in one in the past. I think that one was in California for some reason. My memory is vague, but I think he went down an embankment out in California. He had that crash when his first wife chased him out of the house. That was sort of minor compared to all this. But now he's had one where even though physically he may be okay, this may affect his comeback. Really be kind of his second or third big comeback in his golf career. Okay, the cops are up live now. AJ, as soon as you get me the audio, tell me, cue me, and we'll go straight to that.
All right,
hear what all right, the police in Jupiter Island, Florida.
Crash, and the answer is thankfully no. This is a small 2-lane road. Again, I'm going to show you the photos. Had there been somebody moving in the opposite direction, we would not be having a conversation saying there was no injuries. This could have been a lot worse. Is that all?
Sure, thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
That was quick.
Is that it?
Obviously.
AJ, all that buildup, what the hell did they do? They sent Uncle Fester out there to do a news conference, and he's like, we arrested Tiger Woods. Is that it? Bye.
I mean, they just said, I guess it was a single car. I guess he was just the only one on that particular road because it's such a tight road. And it was like if there was another car going in the opposite direction, it could have been a lot worse. And that was it. All right. Any other questions? Nope. All right. We out. I could have done that.
Dude, they've been hyping this for 2 hours. People had him dead a little while ago. And all he did was get drunk and roll his car. We don't even know what kind of car it is. I can't tell. And they called a whole news conference just to go, all right. This guy had no time for it. He's like, speak to the hand. They could have put an email. They could have tweeted that,
man.
and we would have all been spared a whole lot of suspense.
Oh gosh, that's funny. All that build up, 2 hours of like, oh, we got bored. We go and get all this information on Tiger Woods and his accident, and it, just for them to be like, "Yep, we arrested him." Okay. Any other questions? Nope. Okay. All right, we're done.
How many of all the time we have gone to so many news conferences on this show over the years? We've never gone to one that fast, unless the networks didn't pick it up till he was already halfway done with it. But I looked up and saw his face. You went right to the audio, and this dude's out, man. He bounced.
I mean, they could at least did like 5 minutes of like, yeah, I am Chief such and such. I just want to thank all the officers who assisted in this, all the paramedics. Really
They
just
didn't
want to say
thank Jesus and bring in the mayor. Usually they bring in all the politicians to stand around behind them with their hands clutched and go, we got a great team here for the quick reaction force that we sent out when this DUI happened. And, they didn't do any of that. He just said, Tiger Woods got a DUI. Peace. So I'm seeing this reporting on it, and it's making the rounds. I mean, my own brother just sent me a text. Did you hear about Tiger Woods? He keeps me up to date about an hour after I already know something. That's my brother. I forgot. He is dating Vanessa Trump. Do you remember this? And I forget who she is, but she's last name Trump. Okay, Vanessa is the ex-wife of Junior. Isn't that right? Yeah. So Tiger Woods is dating Vanessa Trump, and her daughter is Kai, the golfer, right? But apparently neither one of them were in the car. Whew, that's a relief. So I guess he was by himself. And now I'm getting reports that it's a DUI, but it wasn't alcohol. So what's Tiger hitting this afternoon? What is, I mean, you can get a DUI. It's just under the influence. It doesn't mean alcohol. A lot of people immediately attribute that.
I mean, it could be back pain. They could have been all the medicines that he's been taking.
100%. I've had friends that go through that, it started with an accident and then they have chronic pain. They wind up in the, hooked on the pain meds. And then the next thing you know, there's trouble that comes with that. So you're very right, AJ, with all those surgeries and him trying to make a comeback, he could have just been loaded on whatever the drug of choice is nowadays to alleviate pain. What I don't know, and I'm just going to ask a lot of questions I don't know the answer to, in terms of the sport itself, I just read something the other day that he was about to have this big comeback onto one of the senior tours. Dude's a legend forever because of his story is just amazing. And then his crash, his rise to fame, then his downfall, then his comeback. And then he goes through, he had a comeback from the previous wreck. And then he had a personal comeback from the embarrassment of the way his divorce went down. That's that personal life stuff that spilled in. And then he is getting ready to do it again. And the sport needs him on those tours. You tell me you brought Tiger Woods over to Greystone one year, that wouldn't just, I mean, the tournament's still very successful. But that would just light the tournament up, and it'd be that way all over the country. And somebody put this here that he has had 4 car crashes since 2009. I don't know about the 4th, and I don't remember when all that stuff was when he first had his first one. But anyway, he's all in the news tonight. I guess the point I was trying to make, or the direction I was going with that, was so does this affect his ability to come back? He's not injured. DUI arrests are very serious, but most likely society will look past it. The question is, will the tournament, whatever tournament he was qualifying for, and this is where a sports expert on golf would be a lot more helpful to me. If some of y'all know this stuff, let me know. Is this something that would keep him from being able to participate? I doubt it. I think they need him on the tour. They'll write this off as a personal indiscretion, mainly because nobody got hurt. It wasn't a 2-vehicle injury. Somehow he rolls a car in the middle of a street and gets this arrest, and the details of which probably will be filled in on that here pretty soon. It could cost him some endorsements, but I think he would still be able to make his comeback if he's not personally injured. And I don't even know who endorses him anymore. Except for, we talked about it last hour. I'm telling you, this is it. Tesla for their self-driving cars. Totally need to get Tiger Woods on the phone right now if he can. Well, he's only got one phone call. until he bonds out. When he gets another phone call, Elon, you need to be calling Tiger, man. He can sell your self-driving car. I would buy it. I'm starting to come around on those things too. I'm watching more and more videos of how those systems have improved and the statistics on how they're actually way safer than a human. I think I was following a guy using one the other day on 280 just because the way the car was behaving. It was everybody's so erratic nowadays being hooked on their tech and they can't get off their phones. There was this one car that was as steady. It was a Cybertruck, so naturally it caught my attention. That thing was as steady and precise, and I thought, I think the robot's driving that car. So it's got me fascinated. I tell you, if they come out with this, though, I was thinking about this the other day. We got self-driving 18-wheelers now. There will be a day, probably in the next 5 years, when you're going to see a lot of robot trucks, massive trucks on the road moving our freight in a continuous pattern. And based on the statistics, it's going to be safer. It's going to be safer than driver fatigue. It's going to be safer than hiring an illegal from Pakistan that can't read the signs. And freight's going to get moved by these things. But, AJ, when they come out with the self-driving RV, that thing can drive me out to Wyoming every summer, and I can just be sitting with everybody else in the back playing board games while the thing drives us down the road, I'm down. I will buy that. I'll be in for it. That's what I'm looking forward to. I just saw there's a story right here that just popped up too. The Chinese have a company called Unipath, and they have just launched we just talked about this a couple hours ago. They have launched a household robot that can do things around the house for you, and it does not look like it's not a humanoid robot. It's like a box with little arms on it. And this thing can wake you up in the morning. It can operate home appliances, says organize storage spaces, and cook meals automatically. Now, you think about that, and it seems like a luxury to us, but what about elder care? You've got a lot of, my mom's getting older. I hope to live that long. That'd be worth a family investment to have something there to give that quality of life to somebody and independence to somebody who's getting around their home, and you want also just to monitor for falls or anything like that as we age. There's upside to some of this technology. And then there's Terminator 2. Which we talked about last hour. This still kind of freaks me out if that thing were to go berserk. I saw one the other day. It was supposed to be a restaurant robot, and it was supposed to come out and bring a meal and do a little dance, And nowadays with AI, I had to double check it to make sure it was legit, but apparently it was legit, and it was also Chinese technology. And it brought the meal out, and it started doing the Macarena or whatever it's doing to entertain the guests. AJ, then that thing wigged out, man. It started flailing its arms around and smacking people and rolling into walls. I was like, it's Joe Biden. This thing was running into furniture, and they were trying to Roomba that thing and get it under control. I thought, what if that crap happens in your house in the middle of the night? This thing's supposed to be on its charger while you're sleeping, and it's roaming around staring at you while you're walking to the shower. I don't know, man. I don't know. This is a world I'm not even sure I'm ready for.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. Look, I still need to figure out how to change the clock on my VCR. I still got one, let alone a robot that's supposed to be in my house to take care of me. No, yikes. I'm good.
And then I start thinking about my own. I'm trying to have some conviction of my own about tech and when I'm resistant to it. And I looked down right while I was making that explanation to you, and I noticed my Apple Watch. Now, my son had the first Apple Watch. One of my sons had the first Apple Watch I'd ever seen. And he was all about it, man. He wouldn't quit talking about it. He's like, you need to get one, Dad. I was like, I don't need a damn Apple Watch. I don't need a phone on my wrist. Are you high? He just kept talking about this Apple Watch. And I got one as a gift for Christmas, and now I'm addicted to it. I've been addicted to it for the whole time. The first thing I do when I get up every day after I go pee is put the Apple Watch out because I got to track my steps. I don't want to waste one. So it did add some convenience in my life. If I lose my phone, I hit the button, it finds my phone for me. There are things we'll buy into. We'll eventually cave in and eventually accept the assistance that we get from it and learn to trust the tech. But I'm telling you, the self-driving car thing's got my attention all of a sudden. Think about it. You're trying to drive to the beach. You're tired. You just want to go down for a beach trip. What if you could just hop in the car and be at the beach in 4 hours and not have to think about it? You got to trust it, though. You got to trust it, and that's where it's going to come into. The more people use it, though, the more people will start to trust it. It's true of all technology. Y'all, let's talk about All-American medals while we get cranked up this hour, and I guess we can go back to the phones now. I was thinking we'd be getting some new details and have something to talk about with this Tiger Woods thing, but it just looks like a side scandal. It doesn't like a major development. Listen, steel is an incredible product to build whatever you got to build. And you may have something, I guess, on the low end of what they do at All American would be a sort of an outdoor open shed. And for people with farm equipment and implements and things that you need to gather together, that's always great just to keep the rainfall off your stuff and the sun from sun fade. And then you move on up to the pole barn structures, which secure everything for you. And you can take those, and from the barn structure, people started building whole residences that are incredibly beautiful and laid out and much more cost effective. And they go up in a hurry, and they call them barn dominiums. They're neat. I just we looked at a property not too long ago with some relatives that was made out of just a very, very good looking barn dominium. So, and I even took some of the tips from those projects and dressed my barn up so it wouldn't look so, metally, so commercial, I guess. Especially with the colors that are available now. And then you go up to commercial applications and how that works in the commercial space. It really is nice if you're going to grow your business this year or start a business this year and you need some space to either warehouse or do your retail. It's nice to have a company that's fully integrated in Birmingham here in Alabama that can handle the whole thing for you. And we're a city that was built on steel, so it makes sense that we got some steel men over in the Bessemer Hueytown area that started doing this back in the 60s. I mean, erecting these huge steel buildings, and they just slowly started building their own manufacturing capability. And now they can build the whole building. They can design it for you. They're going to produce the infrastructure, all the support structure, the primary, secondary, all the stuff that goes with it. Put a whole package for you together down to the screws and bolts. The insulation, the door packages. Once you've gotten it all figured out, and your dimensions and gotten all the zoning approvals or whatever you need, they'll get that building packaged up for you and they bring it to you on their own trucks. They control the whole process. If something's not right, they're right down the road to make it right. And when they put it together, it's going to be right because they've had their hands on it. This isn't being piecemealed from all over the place by your contractor. And if you need a contractor, if you don't know who could get it out of the ground for you or get it raised, let them help you line up with some of the folks that work with them every single day. If you are a contractor and you're out there putting up these commercial buildings and you want a supplier that's quicker on their turnaround, on their designs and the production of the building, the prices are better and you can get customization, it's All American Metals. They're right over in Hueytown. Go online to aa-metal.com to take a look. aa-metal.com. Back here in just a minute. All right, y'all, it's 427, Leland Live, Talk 995, Storm Restoration Roofing. This gives me a chance to tell you all about my buddy Greg Nelson and his incredible roofing company. Roofs are one of those things, and we talk about things around your home a lot here on the show. We got a lot of home services, but a roof's not something that's on your mind until you have trouble. Or maybe you got an older house that's starting to age, and you look up there every now and then and go, I'm going to have to eventually get that done. Those are sort of the two general circumstances, either a storm or some emergency or the age issue. But it's not something we think about a lot. So who I'm talking to right now are folks that aren't in the market, so to speak. I'm telling you, go ahead and put this number down somewhere where you can get to it. Because if you wind up in an emergency and you're trying to find a good roofer because we just had a hailstorm or just had a big windstorm, those things happen. We're in the middle of storm season right now here in the Southeast. You're going to need Greg, because you should call him before you call your insurance company or your adjuster, and let them, we got some great adjusters out there, but if they don't have to cover it, they're not going to cover it. Greg can help you document. He understands what they require, what needs to be, what's going to fit their requirements, and he can take a look at it, make sure they haven't missed anything. Then work with those companies to make sure that the job gets done and it's done correctly. And then he's off to the next customer. The thing about him doing it correctly too, to know, and I've learned a lot from Greg over the years, if you don't put the roof shingles on correctly, the manufacturer of those shingles, they do not have to honor any warranties or any other guarantees about their product. It's on longevity. So you got to hire a pro installer. So here's that number. Jot it down. And if you know you're in an emergency, you're going to have a need coming up, it's Storm Restoration Roofing and my friend Greg Nelson, 205-542-3531. He works on a phone number, 205-542-3531, Storm Restoration Roofing. All right, back here in just a minute. Leland Live. Sorry, I got to turn the mic back on. 435, Lead on Live, Talk 99.5. Let's go. Douglas Cooling and Heating bringing you the show tonight, too. We all need a good heating and air company in our lives. At least twice a year, if everything's running great, you should still do the service. And we're in that zone of the year where you need to clean up for spring. There's a lot involved in that, too. Over the wintertime, part of your system is sort of sitting idle. It runs two ways, but you gather dust and things get gunky, and you need them to check all that. I don't even know what's going on in there, but they'll check in your attic or outside your house or wherever your units inside and outside are. Give it a cleanup. Make sure it's charged. They check all the registers and go through it. And then you're good to go. When we get in the thick of summer, we start getting in those 80s and 90s with all that humidity. You're going to be living with your air conditioner, especially at night, man. I'm a 65-degree guy. That's always a constant battle between couples, but I like it cool. And if my air conditioner's on the fritz, I just don't sleep as well. So keep it charged up, run longer. It'll save you on your power bills. And Douglas is my company to handle that. I subscribed to their Douglas Care package a while back, and that was sort of a prepay system. So now they come out twice a year and take good care of my systems, and I don't have to think about it anymore. It's calldouglas.com, license number 2017181, calldouglas.com. Let me go back to the Tiger Woods thing. I've been reading a little bit during the breaks to make sense of what we think happened. Apparently, the authorities are saying he tried to pass. He was in a Range Rover and was following a car that was pulling a trailer. And I guess he got impatient and tried to zip around them. And he somehow clipped the trailer and rolled the vehicle. But there's a report that he also refused to take, quote, a legal test on the side of the road. I don't know what that means, because we're also hearing he did a breathalyzer. And there's some facts about that I think we need to discuss here too real quick, because it relates to something else I saw earlier today. But here's that super fast 46-second news conference this afternoon with the local popo or whoever that was.
Here, and Mr. Woods did exemplify signs of impairment. They did several tests on him. Of course, he did explain the injuries and the surgeries that he had. We did take that into account. But they did do some in-depth roadside tests. And when it was determined, he was placed under arrest and taken to the Martin County Jail. At the Martin County Jail, and even on scene, we really weren't suspicious of alcohol being involved in this case, and that proved to be true at the jail. So Mr. Woods did a breathalyzer test, blew triple zeros, but when it came time for us to ask for a urinalysis test, he refused, and so he's been charged with DUI, with property damage, and refusal to submit to a lawful test.
It cut off there at the end, but it's a refusal to submit to a lawful test. So I saw a video again today. You see these all over the internet, and they come up from time to time. And I don't know where people are getting this education or this idea that I must have seen 10 videos like this week, where you get pulled over, the cop asks to see your driver's license, and then they just refuse to do it and immediately start saying, I want to speak to your supervisor. That doesn't do you any good. Supervisor's going to ask you for your driver's license too. And here's what people need to understand about when you get pulled over. Because the reason I'm saying this is because in Tiger Woods' case, let me just explain it the way I understand it based on, my experience working with the police and doing all these things. When you accept a driver's license, at least in the state of Alabama, you're getting a privilege permission to be on the roads. And the condition of that privilege is that you will produce that driver's license if you're pulled over. That's the deal. And when you get pulled over because of anything, car tag, cracked windshield, light out, weaving, DUI, whatever they suspect, speeding, reckless driving, they're different categories. But the minute you get pulled over, by the technical definition of the law, you are already under arrest. A lot of people don't realize it. They think they're just being hassled by this cop that ain't got nothing else to do. You're technically under suspicion of violating some law. And the reason we get let go on the side of the road, those of us that show respect to the police and don't get uppity and decide you're not going to give them your license, or you're going to fight with them or not get out of the car and obey lawful orders. The minute you, if you just do what they ask you to do, say they're going to give you a ticket, go fight it downtown later. You may or may not beat it, but take the damn ticket. But when you sign on that ticket, it's an ROR. And a lot of people just don't, I don't know, I guess they don't teach this in DUI and driver's ed anymore. But an ROR is called released on your own recognizance. You're basically signing that you'll show up for your court date. because you've been charged with a crime, even a minor crime. If it's a moving violation, it's a bigger deal. But if it's a citation for a defect on your vehicle, you still have to address it, fix the problem, and then go down to court and prove that you fixed the problem. Sometimes it's not carrying insurance, but if you're not doing something you've obligated to do under the laws of the state to be on the public roads with the rest of us, by the way, this is why the cops pull you over. It's not because they don't like you or because of your skin color or any of this. They're there to provide public safety on the road so the rest of us don't get killed by the DUI crowd. Okay, so they're going to check you for things they suspect, and they've got a right to further pursue and investigate. In other words, they pull you over because of a headlight. And the dirty secret is sometimes they'll use issues like that if they suspect something else, but they have to have a reason to pull you over. They can't randomly stop you unless it's one of these checkpoint things. So if they pull you over and then there's a bag of weed sitting on the front seat, or they smell marijuana, or you got an open container in the car, another violation in addition to the one they pull you over, you've now escalated the traffic stop. If you resist, you've escalated it. If you refuse to produce that license, which is what you agreed to when you accepted that driver's license to drive on the roads. Now, it's different if they ask you for an ID and you're somewhere else, and those laws get challenged from time to time in courts as to when the cops can, suggest that you have an ID and not. There have been a lot of Supreme Court cases over that. But if you accept a driver's license and you're operating a motor vehicle, you're responsible for the people in it, and you're responsible for your behavior while you're on a public road. And you can't pull over and pull onto a private property and get out of it. You have been operating on that road. Now you're still subject to that search or those questions. So just show them your damn license. And so in this case, there's another thing that you agree to, and it's in the fine print of accepting a license. You agree to, when people don't even realize this, when you accept a driver's license, you've already agreed to take a breathalyzer test. If they suspect you of driving under the influence, you've agreed to take a roadside test, whether it's breathalyzer or, touching your nose, whatever, to take a sobriety test on the side of the road. And if you don't, then you're automatically going to be arrested. And they can do it down at the station. They may have to get a warrant to take a blood draw or a urine test, and you can make them do that. And it sounds like Tiger Woods, being a veteran of these matters, has decided to force them to go get a warrant to have to examine his blood alcohol content or his urine content. And that's a delay tactic because, the longer you sit there, your body starts to metabolize. And some people would advise you to do that. And I'm not trying to play lawyer. I'm just trying to give you some friendly advice that understand the circumstances of a pullover. You're already under suspicion. And so I've found the best way to deal with that is to be courteous to the officer. Put your hands out there so they can see them. Your hands are how you use a gun, so you don't want to feel like a threat. Every single time I'll tell the officer I do have a gun in the car. They never think twice about it because I'm not posing a threat. They can see my hands. They might ask me, where's it located? And I'll tell them where it's located. And then we're on to the next thing. They can tell me I was speeding, and I don't challenge it. It's like calling them a liar right there on the side of the road. You're not going to litigate. This is just practical advice. You're not going to litigate a traffic stop, especially a speeding, by arguing with the cop. That's not you're not having a trial on the side of the road. The cop has pulled you over for this suspicion. The truth is, if you're nice and agree with the officer and acknowledge your behavior, sometimes they will cut you some slack. They've got some discretion in that moment. They've already pulled you over to give you a ticket. They didn't pull you over to ask you if you want a ticket. Nobody wants a ticket. But if they pull you over and you show a little bit of discretion and you're kind and courteous to the officer, sometimes they'll go, you know what? They would just as soon let you go than have to go fill that paperwork out, put it in the system. And when there's a court date on your ticket, it also obligates the officer to that court date. So you got to show up, and the cop has to show up to accuse you in front of a judge, and none of them want to show up either. It's why some of us pay those traffic tickets because we don't want to have to go. One time when I was in college, I thought I was going to be Matlock, and I dressed up in my suit and went to fight a ticket. I was going to throw myself on the mercy of the court with the judge down in Auburn, Alabama. AJ's heard this story before. I decided I got a ticket for doing, I think it was 55 and a 25. but there were no road signs that said 25 on that road because they were paving the road that morning. And they had taken all the road signs down. And so I was trucking down through there, most likely late for class, as I tended to be down at Auburn. I got a lot of tickets while I was down there. That's why I've got such expertise. So I decided, you know what? There weren't any signs. I went back and checked, and I thought, how was I supposed to know? So I thought I had them. So I went, I remember the suit I had on. It was a gray suit, kind of a pink tie. It was the 80s. Shut up. Don't make fun. So I go up there to the judge, and I stood there and I presented my case. I thought I did so eloquently, man. I was waiting for some applause from the people in the courtroom. And that judge pounded that gavel so hard in my face. He said, bam! He goes, if there are no posted signs, the speed limit's automatically 25 in the city of Auburn. Get out of my courtroom. I didn't know that part of the law. I didn't study law school. If there's no posted sign, it's automatically as low as 25. And so clearly they had me. So I'd already acknowledged I was speeding, but I was just like, it ain't my fault. Nobody told me how fast it was. Yeah, they did. Ignorance of the law excuses no man. Hard lesson at 20 years old, but I did it anyway. The bottom line is, in the case of Tiger Woods, or in the case of a celebrity, or just the random stop, your best behavior is to just work with the cop and take the ticket and move on with your life. You're not going to win your case on the side of the road with the guy who just took his time to turn around in traffic, in the rain sometimes, him standing out there on the side of the road, or her, cars whizzing by. Traffic stops can be dangerous, and they're not going to argue with you. You're not going to just drive off because you got an attitude, and you can't just refuse and ask for a supervisor and think somebody's just going to show up and let you out of it. That never happens. And what I believe, because you keep seeing the same pattern from people all over the internet nowadays. Thank God for body cams, because they're awesome. They have exonerated more police since we went to more body cams for the crap they have to deal with people. But you see these videos, and it's like somebody wrote a script and told people what to do if you get pulled over. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. They're steering people right into getting snatched out of a car and rolled on the ground and handcuffed, because the cops are allowed to escalate the more you resist. I mean, people's like, I wasn't resisting. The minute you say no, you're resisting. You just got to know these things, man. E is online too. What's up, E?
Police story from, hey, sir, I had a police story from several years ago. Well,
okay.
Back when I was 24. I flew to Dallas to buy a sports car, a Camaro that was pretty souped up. And coming back on a Sunday morning, it was like 5:30, 6 a.m. on the interstate. Over there, speed limit is 75. So I just bought the car, and I was like, let's see what this thing can do. So I opened her up on the interstate. There was nobody there, like I said, at 6 a.m. on a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And they clocked me in at 124.
Woo!
And there was a state trooper and a sheriff sitting on the on-ramp on the interstate. And as soon as I saw the lights behind me, threw the car in neutral, turned it off, and before they even pulled up to me, I already had my license, insurance. I didn't have a tag on the car, didn't have any other, registration or anything, but I had the bill of sale. And they were like, son, we've been waiting for somebody like you all morning. And I was like, sir, I got here as soon as I could. And they just started laughing, and like you said,
oh, wow.
Be nice to the cop. And if you're just trying to be polite and respectful, I had the windows down, I had all the paperwork. I was like, sir, I just bought the car, flew in from Alabama. And he was like, I'll give you a warning. And he's like, I'm radio ahead. If you're doing 76, I will tell them to take you to jail. He's like, I could take you to jail right now. I was like, sir, I was speeding. Yeah, you are totally right. He's like, I'm going to cut you a break. He's like, yep. I'm radioing ahead. If you're going 76, you are going to jail. The whole trip, Leland, I drove 68 all the way from Dallas to Birmingham.
Dude, I would be under the speed limit the rest of the day in case he's Buford T. Justice and decides to chase you all the way from Texas. You never know.
But like you said, if you're polite, if you're nice to the cop, if I raised an attitude right there, I would have probably got my butt pulled out of the car.
Exactly.
And God knows what, and impound, all this stuff. And respect goes a long way.
It does in all of society, and we've got to start teaching it to kids again. And we're just not. Somebody's teaching them a lot of ignorance is going to get them killed. And even if you're a celebrity like Tiger Woods, there are obligations under the law that he'll have to abide by or not, in this case of being accused of being under the influence, and they'll get it worked out. He had enough sense to obey the cops to the point where his lawyer probably told him, wait on me before you do any kind of test, and they'll get that worked out back at the jail, and it'll be fine, most likely. But just being ignorant on the side of the road will get you killed.
Like you said, it's not the time and the place to do it on the side of the street on the interstate. Do it in the courtroom. That's what that's there for.
That's what the court.
Everybody.
That's what the court's for. Hey, good call. Yeah, I like that story. That's what the court's for. That's what traffic court is for. The cop is your accuser, and you're not going to argue with them. They've got their evidence. They've already collected it, which is why they're giving you a ticket. The best case scenario every single time is to just, I'm telling you, show some respect. It hasn't gotten me out of every ticket, but I think it's got me out of a lot of tickets because and it's not about being on the radio, and I have gotten recognized, but it's just about being sincere. Dude, you're right. I was going a little fast, and here's why. I wasn't thinking, or I was in a hurry, or I had a friend that used I got to poop. He got out of a ticket saying he had diarrhea and he was racing to the bathroom, and he actually did. That was a funny story, but just be calm. The calmer you are, you've got a better chance even on the other end of maybe getting that ticket null priced or something like that. But there's just such ignorance out there, as if you're going to file some case, like you're going to be a sidewalk lawyer over your rights after a simple traffic stop. If you have turned a simple ticket into something that you'll regret the rest of your life, that'll be following you around. Even I've seen felonies get committed on camera. Plus the dude's wearing a damn body cam. It's all on camera. Your whole legal case that you try to present by head bobbing and pointing your finger at the cop and refusing to comply is all on camera. And not only is the judge going to see it, the rest of us are going to see it. And you're going to look like a fool for eternity. Connie's on line 3. What's up, Connie?
Years ago, I got pulled over for speeding in here in Mount Olive. The cop came over and rolled down my window. He says, "You know you were speeding." I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "You got a story for me?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "Are you serious?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Why are you not pitching a fit?" I said, "Because you're just doing your job."
Oh, wow.
He said, "Okay." So he goes back and he does the checking of the license and all that stuff. And he comes back and hands me my ticket and says, "Have a nice day," and starts to walk off. And like an idiot, I turned around and said, "Hey, officer." He said, "Yes, ma'am." He says, "Aren't you going to give me a ticket?" He said, "No, ma'am." I said, "Why not?" He says, "It'd just make you mad."
So you use reverse psychology on him, and he turned around and used it on you. That's exactly what happened.
Oh, no, I was truly willing to accept the ticket because he was doing his job.
That's true.
But
It's actually true.
After it was over, it was hilarious.
Good call, Connie. Sometimes it sucks, but you were speeding. I mean, I think every time I've ever gotten pulled over, I was actually speeding. I can't think of a time. I know sometimes I didn't realize it. Maybe I got in a zone I wasn't aware of. I was speeding. Y'all know it. Just admit it. Barry's up next. What's up, Barry? Line 4. Oh, AJ. Oh, go, Barry. Go fast. I got to take a break. AJ's going to yell at me. Go.
Okay, my bad. All right. Long story short, no names involved. I ain't going to tell you where I'm at because I won't get nobody in trouble. But we was in college, went to the Mexican restaurant, margaritas, early 20s, and was hitting the back road on the way home. County cop pulls us over, me and my buddy and 2 girls, and they say he could tell I'd probably had a little bit, and he said, "I'm gonna cut a deal with you. Whoever blows the lowest is the winner." And sure enough, one of them girls blew the lowest, and they got to drive home. He let me out. The coolest county cop I ever come across.
Well, good for you, man. Sometimes you do run across people with a little bit of understanding. Thanks, Barry. Oh, man. Dude, traffic stories. We could tell these all day. Thank you, Tiger Woods, for giving us more content this afternoon. Back in a minute. All right, it's 4:58, Leland Live, Talk 99.5. That commercial I just heard, I heard it earlier today, connecting Tommy Tuberville to stock trades. I want to talk about that. I'm going to talk about it in the top of the next hour. It is classic Washington money laundering, complete bunk. And we'll talk about it here in just a little bit. It's the kind of stuff that is driving people away from even paying attention to politics. So we'll get into that here in just a minute. Southern Skies Dermatology bringing you the show tonight. Y'all go get checked. You know my story. My mama has had a 20-plus year battle with skin cancer. I'm so proud of her. I hope she's listening. I love you, Mama. She's doing such a great job. By the way, her great-grandson is not going to be able to make the show, AJ, because they're not going to make it in time. I was hoping to have my grandson on the show tonight. Y'all go get checked for skin cancer. Mama Whaley would want you to. Melanoma is the real deal. And Southern Skies, that is the expert place. That's all they do is skin cancer. And they've got the latest technology to heal you and get you on your way. Do that. Get that appointment. Southern Skies Dermatology.com. Southern Skies Dermatology.com.